Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Friday, everybody. So, Friday, the end of the month. Tomorrow will be the 1st of March. Ending in red for this week. Friday on the market. Minus 700 so far. 3 hours to go. So hopefully everybody will be listening at work. Coming in when they can. First show for the day. So no videos out for Bill Clinton yet. I'm watching for his clips. Hopefully they'll be coming out soon. No mail yet, Spas.
There's no mistake. You don't accidentally stumble. Testimony appears to conflict with then. Brought forward. Well, remember.
Have you heard this yet? 6 planets are going to.
We'll be starting here in a minute here. Oh, everybody's working. Okay, we got. Let's see what we got in here. Andrew, welcome. Is this your first time in chat? Um, just be respectful. That's all I'm asking. And thank you for supporting my channel. And it says your question when Trump said about a month ago he likes and respects Bill Clinton. How didn't he take a massive laugh? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to. We don't know we gotta finish out the movie, and hopefully, like Trump said, every lie is gonna get revealed. Might ask you what state you're from, Andrew? I'm from Michigan. Oh, Louisiana. Okay. How have you been following since the beginning? My channel. My channel. Carol, you out there? Okay. Oh, really? Thanks for finding my channel. Yeah, I got over 1 million views. I did have a lot of other channels, but I got strikes. But when Trump won the lawsuit from YouTube, everybody got their big channel back. So it's different now with the format on YouTube. I was normally on the StreamYard, but yeah, I've been in it since day one. I learned a whole lot here. Met a lot of people, helped a lot of people, and all I ask is just be respectful. And everybody has their own, their own opinions and everything. Hey, Carol, we got a new person from Louisiana, and this found my channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and get on. You can chat with the people in chat. And I'll try to answer when I can. But yeah, I'm doing 2 shows for a while because there's so much intel, a lot of intel. I do all types of videos. Billy came out, Carol, 28 minutes. Did you find any video clips on Bill Clinton yet, Carol? Okay, the first one will be 5 minutes. We'll go ahead and get started. People are listening at work.
News to get in front of you from inside the FBI. Just the News has learned that the Bureau has opened an investigation under Director Kash Patel into whether its own agents obstructed or interfered with politically sensitive cases such as those involving Hillary Clinton, Hunter Biden, and President Trump.
Weiner's laptop had kill switches in it. Anthony Weiner's laptop were ever released, the government would fall. Weiner's laptop had kill switches in it.
Hillary Clinton's emails on her unsecured personal server contained intelligence from the U.S. government's most secretive and highly classified operations called Special Access Programs, or SAPs.
These are the crown jewels of the American intelligence community of the United States government.
The intelligence community's Inspector General, Charles McCullough III, notified congressional oversight committees on January 14th. The letter says a comprehensive review by the intelligence agencies, who have final say on classification matters, found, quote, several dozen emails containing classified information at the confidential, secret, and top secret /SAP levels. That is even more sensitive than top secret and brings new scrutiny to the presidential candidate's handling of government secrets.
If this information is compromised, we're going to suffer very serious national security damage. There's no mistake. You don't accidentally stumble across it and not realize what it is.
Access to these programs is highly restricted and on a need-to-know basis only. The State Department spokesman had not seen the letter, but added,
there are reviews and investigations going on about past email practices here at the department, and I am simply not at liberty to discuss the content.
The new findings are striking, given Clinton's first public statement about her personal server.
There is no classified material, so I'm certainly well aware of the classification requirements.
According to court documents, former CIA Director David Petraeus was prosecuted for sharing special access program intelligence with his biographer Paula Broadwell. Both Petraeus and then Secretary of State Clinton were required to sign non-disclosure agreements promising to protect special access programs with the understanding that a failure to do so has significant legal consequences.
I think this is a real test for the administration as to whether they're going to apply the law in a fair and equal way and treat Hillary Clinton the same way that David Petraeus was treated.
A new email first obtained by the Daily Caller shows the State Department knew about the personal account only as August 2011, and suggestions to use a government BlackBerry and a .gov account were rejected by Mrs. Clinton's aide, Huma Abedin-Brett.
Obama Justice Department ordered federal lawyers to do and not to do concerning the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge tells us in sworn testimony on Capitol Hill, one of the insiders told lawmakers what she was told.
During closed-door testimony last summer, former FBI lawyer Lisa Page said the Obama administration's Justice Department advised the FBI not to pursue the gross negligence statute for Hillary Clinton in the mishandling of classified information. Former U.S. Attorney and House Republican John Radcliffe led the line of questioning about the statute, known as 18 U.S.C. 793. Radcliffe, You're making it sound like it was the department that told you you're not going to charge gross negligence because we're the prosecutors. Page interrupted. That is correct. Page's testimony appears to conflict with then FBI Director James Comey's recommendation in July 2016 against criminal charges for Clinton.
What I can assure the American people is that this investigation was done honestly, competently, and independently. No outside influence of any kind was brought to bear.
The Republican-led House Oversight and Judiciary Committee investigation ended in January. With Democrats now in control, the committee's new ranking Republican made the Page transcript public.
The transcript releases show an inherent two-tier system, one in which Hillary Clinton gets the treatment that she got, where there was actually at first concern that they were going to charge her, and then with Loretta Lynch in charge, before she recused herself, made it very clear that that was not going to happen.
The tip-off came from a chart drawn up by federal investigators assigned to the Clinton case known as mid-year exam. Fox News has confirmed that the chart listed possible federal statutes for prosecution. Next to gross negligence was a notation, quote, DOJ not willing to charge this. Only known cases are military. Cases when accused lost the information. In response to the Page revelations, the president tweeted the transcripts, quote, make the Obama Justice Department look exactly like it was, a broken and corrupt machine.
It was filled with crap that wasn't supposed to be there. We never get to see it. Supposedly 9 cops watched the videos on Weiner's laptop. They had to keep leaving the room because they couldn't stand what they were seeing. And all 9 are now dead. And there's names and faces and deadness, right? They're real people. Now you can say, well, maybe they died for other reasons. I go, but it's still 9 cops. You know, it's like the 5 cops who died after January 6th, right? 4 of them were suicides. According to AI, there were about 80 cops really in the thick of things. 4 of them died from suicide.
Okay. So, Carol, we got a new one, clip from Bill update. So this came out. Someone has a clip.
Some back and forth in regards to some of the Dems trying to call in not credible witnesses. And I won't get into the nature of what I've asked the president specifically until after the deposition is over. But to be clear, we've had 2 witnesses, or not 2 witnesses, 2 individuals. One that accuses President Clinton of unfounded allegations of there being sex tapes, etc., by the name of Sarah Ransom. And there was an individual under the name of Katie Johnson that also had unfounded allegations of rape against our sitting president of the United States, both being claims that we did not have evidence for grounds of that. And so just as we wouldn't call in an individual like Sarah Ransom, who we know made up claims, we're not going to do the same thing for President Trump. So I think to be able to bring that up and conflate the two with this investigation is wrong. And I want to be very clear on record. I don't believe that Sarah claims had valid claims against President Trump in regards to what she was, President Clinton has in regards to what she was alleging. Just as I don't believe that there are valid claims against President Trump by the individual with the name of Katie Johnson. What I will say is it has become very evident, even in the last 24 hours in lines of questioning, that Jeffrey Epstein was running an intelligence gathering operation. In my professional opinion, I do believe it was a honeypot operation. And I do believe that there's a list of individuals who did engage in trafficking, were given these plea deals, and I'm going to name those individuals right now. The first one would be Leslie Groff. The second one, Sarah Kellen. The third one, Nadia Markova. And the fourth one, Adriana Ross.
3 minutes.
All of these women engaged in the trafficking of minors as adults. They were working and complicit with Jeffrey Epstein's operation. And in my opinion, they are not to be given victim status because they did partake in harming young girls. I remember seeing in some of the files, some of these girls were, as young as 10, 11 years old and older. And so obviously we have a lot of work to do, but I did want to come and give an update and let you know that President Clinton, as of right now, is cooperative and answering all of our questions. And that it leads me to believe that if we can remove the partisan nature of this investigation, we actually might be able to get justice. And so I will be calling on the Oversight Committee to bring in those 4 individuals that I just listed. We will continue to conduct the investigation and provide updates shortly for all of you.
What has the president said?
Thank you.
I can't get into the specifics of the deposition because it's still currently going on. But again, he's being very cooperative, and I think that statement is pretty on point with what we're
Is former President Clinton saying he doesn't call anything? That's something he mentioned.
We will provide updates as soon as it's over. I don't want to violate the trust that we have right now in the depositions, but I do think that we are at least getting a little bit more of a clearer picture. And I will say I'm not in favor. And if there is a request to bring in an individual who's made false allegations against President Clinton, I will be voting that down in committee, just as I will be voting down any individuals that are brought forward that have made false claims against President Trump. I do think that there is a bit of partisan smear attempts in this whole investigation, but it's important to note that Jeffrey Epstein does have all of the telltale signs of intelligence gathering operation. I think we all know that. I do believe that because of the people in power and influence, specifically presidents, etc., that he was targeting, that there is an aspect of, foreign governments trying to pit some of us against each other using this topic. And so we're more focused on that, as well as bringing justice to the victims. And there is no justice when traffickers are given plea deals. And so we'll be following up on that as well. I'm going to go back in, and what I will say is that I don't have any reasons to believe right now that he's hiding the ball, and everything's been pretty transparent.
And is it your belief and or the committee belief that the former president was targeted by Jeffrey Epstein on behalf of the foreign nations?
It is in my opinion. I don't think the opinion of the committee, but I do believe that Jeffrey Epstein was targeting many politicians, many influential people, especially in regards to economic policy, etc. And I do believe that it was possible that not just him, but likely Secretary Clinton, as well as a number of other people, were targeted due to an intelligence gathering operation. I think.
So that's the first update from the Bill side of the story.
Post this video that's completely made up, saying that me and 2 other girls are liberals that are also Americans, which I'm not a liberal or American, are stuck here and we can't get home and all this stuff.
Straight. So there's a bunch of libs that are trapped in Mexico right now, and they're terrified because of cartel violence that's spiraling out of control. It's very dangerous. And they're demanding the U.S. government and the Trump administration save them and deliver them back into America.
This complete made-up story. The streets are open, transportation's open, it's completely safe here. The cartel war that happened on Sunday was a 24-hour thing. Everything was cleaned up. Today is Tuesday. The airports are back open. Everyone's out. Businesses are back open. What you see in the media is not true at all. And it just goes to show you that you cannot trust the media. I live here also and moved here for the winter. Tourists were injured, no civilians were injured. This was an act of retaliation between the cartel and the government because one of the cartel leaders were killed. So the cartel went and burned a bunch of vehicles. They actually pulled people out of the vehicles before burning them and also lit some stores on fire. That was it. Crazy shit happens like this all over the world. That is much worse. So it's completely safe here. Everything's fine. No tourists or civilians were hurt. So don't believe what you see on the media and go boycott and expose that dude.
So that's kind of interesting again. A person that's live. Okay, here's one Flying Eagle hopefully will be coming in, okay? I talked to his wife, but here's one I'm not sure of. 8 minutes.
Host, The Eye. Today, we'll continue with more talk about the JFK assassination
Let me know if we
and
played
more
this
in
or
depth
not.
on last
Please,
episode's
thank
chemtrails
you.
conspiracy. In this episode 2 of the JFK series, Oswald's Enigma delves into Lee Harvey Oswald's mysterious background, his defection to the Soviet Union, and the questions about whether he was a lone wolf or a patsy manipulated by intelligence operatives with ties to anti-communist agendas. Introducing Oswald's Enigma, unraveling the mystery of Lee Harvey Oswald. In the gripping second episode of our deep dive series on the JFK assassination conspiracies titled Oswald's Enigma,
This came
we
off the
peel back
news
the
force.
layers of one
Okay.
of history's most enigmatic figures, Lee Harvey Oswald, the man officially deemed the lone assassin of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963. This episode explores the path of Oswald's life, from his troubled youth to his shadowy international escapades, questioning whether he was a deranged solitary actor, a manipulated patsy in a larger plot, or something far more sinister woven into the fabric of Cold War intrigue. Born on October 18, 1939 in New Orleans, Louisiana, Oswald grew up in a fragmented family, losing...
Okay. I guess we won't be playing that one.
I don't know how many of you heard all of it, because quite frankly, I've heard enough that it scares the shit out of me. For those that don't know what Project Matador is, it is an 18 million square foot data center planned to be built north of Amarillo, Texas. Now, the problem that I have with this place, and the reason it scares me, is the cooling, because it's not just cooling the data center itself, it's also the cooling for the nuclear power plants they're planning on building to power this place. Now, the cooling for that area is going to have to come from one of two places, and both of them are underground. It's either going to come from the Ogallala Aquifer or the Santa Rosa Aquifer. Either way, it's going to dry up a lot of water to the south of that power plant on the southern end of the Panhandle. And for those that don't realize, the Panhandle region of Texas is the largest cotton producing region in the United States. You want a quick way to put an end to that? Dry up the well water, because there's a lot of us that rely on those to grow what we do. The Panhandle region, with irrigation, we can grow between 2 and 4 bale cotton, depending on how good your wells are and where you're at, how good your soil is. You dry up those wells, we're going to go from that 2 to 4 bale region, which is about 1,000 to 2,000 pounds,
You know where that is, Kay?
down to about a half a bale acre, which is about 250 pounds per acre. You do away with irrigation for us, and we can't grow what we grow. It's also going to hurt the people that live in the rural areas that rely on well water for their homes. People that live out here in the country, you dry their wells up and they don't have a choice. They either have to haul water in or they have to move, period. Now, this place claims they're not going to use a whole lot of water. They claim that, oh, well, it's going to be a closed loop system. We're just going to get a little bit of water out to start with, and then we won't need any more. They're going to use cooling ponds, and I've read through all of their proposed plans. Well, those cooling ponds, what they don't understand is West Texas is also very hot, and a lot of water gets lost due to evaporation, which is why a lot of guys have done away with pivots and gone to subsurface drip irrigation to try to mitigate evaporation loss. Well, when the water evaporates out of their ponds, they're going to have to refill it. They don't have a choice, which is going to drain more water out of the aquifer. I don't know how well our politicians are paying attention to what's going on with that and all the other data centers around the area. There's several. There's one being built about 5 miles away from where I'm standing right now. I don't know how well they're paying attention to these data centers and just exactly what's going on. But if they would listen to the people of Texas, especially the people of rural Texas who are affected by what these guys are doing, they would understand that we don't want these things. We don't need them. We don't want them. They can be built in different places where they're not going to affect agriculture. Now, our state lawmakers, I don't know if they're going to do anything to put a stop to this or try to pull the reins back on it and say, hey, hold on, let's investigate this a little more. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if the guys in Washington even care. You know, our president claims to be a friend of the farmer, claims to support what we do out here, but in the same breath is allowing places like Project Matador to be built, which is going to kill farming in the Panhandle region of Texas.
I don't know.
So I don't know what's to be done other than call your elected officials and I don't know, try to get them on board with putting a stop to this. I've talked to a few guys that are running for state office, and the best response I've got from one of them was, well, I've talked to guys and we're planning on building a pipeline down from Kansas or Missouri, somewhere up north. We're going to build it off one of the rivers, and we're going to pump river water down to the Panhandle so y'all can irrigate with river water. And I was nice when they told me that, and I didn't say anything. I bit my tongue. I hate to break it to them, but that plan was talked about 50 damn years ago. It wasn't viable then, and it's not viable now. A, it would cost way too much money to do. B, river water, the river level is going to fluctuate. And when you pumping that much water out of that damn river, it's going to fluctuate a lot. And then you just get to the viability of the entire length of the Panhandle. When you get to somebody like me on the southern end of the Panhandle, I'm liable to not get any water at all. Like I said, a big pipeline coming down off a river, that's been talked about for a long time. It'll never happen. When it comes to the water here in West Texas, we have fought to protect it. We fought tooth and nail in the past. T-Boone Pickens, I don't know how many of y'all remember that name. Yeah, that carpetbagger came down here and planned on drilling a bunch of wells up around Amarillo and building a pipeline to pump fresh well water down to Dallas and sell it to the folks of Dallas. That got shut down. And last I heard, there was somebody else that was trying to do the same thing, and they pretty much told him the same thing. Not no, but hell no. So why they are allowing this data center after they've shut down multiple guys that are trying to drain the water out from underneath our feet, they're allowing these guys to do it, I don't know. But it needs to come to a stop. Water is the most precious resource we have, and in an area where we don't get a lot of rainfall, we rely on that water that comes from underground to grow the crops we grow and just to sustain life out here in rural Texas.
How far is that
So
from you, Kay?
call you politicians, call you elected folks, put the bug in their ear. We don't need Project Matador. We need to protect our well water.
Okay, that's an update out of Texas news there.
You know, another person with an immigrant background. Look, Ilhan Omar has some legal issues regarding her citizenship. I'll just leave it at that.
Couple minutes.
I think that they've been well covered in the press, but it's shameful. And I am so happy to be an American. And, you know, people need to get out there and touch some grass in other countries and see what they go through to really appreciate how great we have it in this country. But freedom isn't free, and every generation needs to fight for it. And if we're complacent about it, we will lose it. And history has shown us that that civilizations that get fat and happy usually lose it. And we're so fat and happy that we're handing out billions of dollars to scamsters in these blue states and not caring about it at the same time that California has the lowest reading standards in the United States and has broken roads and has an open border and has, you know, there's sewage issues and you name it. It's insane. And so we cannot take this beautiful country for granted. I will not, as long as I draw breath, always be very proud to be an American and fight for what America means and why my parents brought me here to this country.
Yeah, that was an interesting answer. Could you like elucidate at all for us on these citizenship issues for Ilhan Omar? Will we ever see anything on that? I will tell you that I was very
anything, but
sure.
I think it's been well covered, and I covered it certainly myself before I joined the DOJ. That
yeah.
You know, certainly it's a truism of immigration law that if you commit fraud in the course of obtaining your citizenship. If you lie about being that you weren't a Nazi, guard at a concentration camp, you can be denaturalized. If you lie about your marriage status on which your citizenship depends, or your familial status, or what have you, if you fake any of those documents or you lie, that's a grounds for denaturalization. And so I think it's been credibly alleged that there are serious questions about the circumstances of the paperwork around that naturalization. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not working on that issue. That's not part of what the Civil Rights Division does. But I think we need to police that seriously. It is a precious privilege to be granted citizenship as a naturalized citizen in this country. And I don't think it should be taken away lightly, but if it's just a basic concept of law that if you commit fraud in the course of obtaining a benefit, you're not entitled to it. Yeah. To see her contempt and right next to her, Rashida Tlaib.
Okay, Benny, with that lady there. Please be respectful. Thank you.
States for their refusal to turn over voter rolls in response to the Attorney General's request under the Civil Rights Act of 1960. Specifically, we sued West Virginia, Utah, Oklahoma, Kentucky, and New Jersey. This brings to almost 30 states that we are suing, in addition to the District of Columbia, and we will not rest until we have resolved this litigation throughout the United States. Now, speaking of which, we have had a couple of adverse rulings in different courts, so we disagree with them. There's been a hodgepodge of issues that the plaintiffs' lawyers have thrown up against the wall. So we have filed our notices of appeal promptly in the Ninth Circuit in the cases in Oregon and California. And we have also filed a challenge and appeal in the Sixth Circuit against a recent Michigan ruling. And so we're going to take those up on appeal with the help of our colleagues in the Solicitor General's office, and we will report to you what happens with the resolution there. And now finally, I'm really proud of an amicus brief that we co-authored with the Solicitor General's office in a case before the Supreme Court. That is Watson versus Republican National Committee, in which we, the United States, argue that state statutes that allow ballots to continue to trickle in and be counted well after the election day are preempted by the federal law regarding an election day. And it would be great to have certainty around our elections, like just about every other civilized country and even some less civilized countries have. And so every day we are thinking of ways here at the Civil Rights Division to improve voter confidence in the outcome of our elections and ensure that only American citizens vote in federal elections and only one time, and that we get those results promptly and that we can count on them. Thank you and stay tuned.
Speaker for Trump, talk about suing all the states, or 5 states. Our new lady was found.
Just enough to be misleading, but not enough to be perjury. I'm going to show you the video in just a second, and I'm going to let you make your own decision. But first, let me give you the background on why this has suddenly become a very big deal. Well, earlier this week, an online news organization called justthenews.com, go check it out, it's free, ended up with 8,000 documents from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. They had been fighting for a long time to try to get these records through open records requests, and we know how much Fani Willis and Dexter Q. Bond hate to give up records that they are required to give up. But eventually the Fulton County DA's office folded, apparently, and gave up these documents. So great job, Just the News, on fighting to get them. The goal, it appears, in getting all of these documents was to examine the relationship between Fani Willis and her office and the Biden administration, the DOJ, the J6 committee, during the time that Fani Willis was investigating President Trump in order to bring those charges. So we're looking at the 2021, 2022, 2023 timeframe, okay? All along, Fani Willis's office has maintained that She had absolutely no such coordination from the White House and from the Biden administration. She may have asked them for a few documents, and it may be possible that, Nathan Wade might have gone up to DC just to check in and get some information. But that was all it was. There was no true symbiotic relationship whatsoever. Well, as of this week, we are beginning to see that that is not the whole truth, which shouldn't surprise anyone. Thanks to justthenews.com, a couple of very important emails and letters have come to light. One of the biggest things that we've seen so far, and I'm going to say there's going to be more releases, I am sure, from justthenews.com. I am only talking about the 2 articles that I've seen as of the making of this video. I suggest y'all check in at that website regularly because there's probably going to be more information released. But so far, what we've seen that is a very big deal in my view is, number one, we've seen a letter that came from the Biden White House letting her know that they are not going to assert executive privilege over the documents and information that was from Trump's first administration. So when Biden took over from Trump's first administration, he could have said, I am not going to release any of these certain documents because I can withhold them under executive privilege. But instead, he said, no, help yourself. So right there, we see a very big indicator that the Biden administration was more than willing to help anyone, including Fani Willis, prosecute Donald Trump and his co-defendants. The second thing we see, which is even smellier, came out of the second article that Just the News has released. And in that article, we see that the Fulton County District Attorney's Office was offered, not that they sought, but they were offered a grant during that same time frame that I just talked about. And it was not a situation where they had to apply and compete with other people for this federal money. Basically, they were given a grant without having to compete at all, which stinks of quid pro quo, in my view. Oh, you're going to prosecute Donald Trump and his buddies? Oh, by the way, would you like some federal money? Obviously, they're going to say the two had nothing to do with each other, but when it smells, it smells. All right, so now we get to whether Fani Willis had misconstrued the truth. I'm trying to be careful here, but I'm going to show you this video clip. This is from her testimony just back this December when she testified in front of the Georgia Senate Committee. Check this out.
In the letter, you offer to meet them in person. Did they take you up on the offer to meet in person?
I've never met Thompson.
Have you ever met anyone that was doing work with the January 6th Commission?
Not to my knowledge. I may have met them and not known they were doing that work.
Mandy, I've asked you about Mr. Wade. Did you speak with anyone that had worked with the January 6th committee or was a lawyer for the J6 committee?
That's been asked and answered. She said she'd never done it herself. That's what she testified.
Did you communicate with members of the J6 committee through any intermediaries that relayed messages back and forth on your behalf?
I don't recall ever speaking to any one of the January 6th committee. What you asked me, though, is have I ever met someone? I am a public official. I meet people all over this country all the time. Shake hands, take pictures, kiss babies, all the things elected officials do. So I have no idea if I've ever met someone that may have been part of the January 6th committee.
So now that you've seen Fani Willis testify under oath with regard to who she had spoken to, which is basically no one, with the J6 committee, I want to show you this email. This email is one of the documents that was acquired by Just the News through that open records request I was just telling you about. It is dated from April of 2022. It is from Timothy Hafey, who is the senior investigative counsel for the J6 committee. He is addressing it to Investigator Hill, who is an investigator for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. So Hill works for Fani Willis. Hafey says to Hill at the very end of this email, my colleague Dan George, copied here, has been in touch with DA Willis about this matter, and we'd like to ensure continued communication as your grand jury investigation moves forward. So, what we know is that Fani Willis did indeed have some type of communication with Dan George. Who is he? He was another lawyer with the J6 committee. So if you go back, you can go listen to it again, the video of her under oath. She says she never met anyone from the J6 committee. And then Greg Dolezal tries to ask her a different way. He says, did you ever speak with anyone? And Roy Barnes, her counsel, jumps in and says, she's already said she didn't do it herself. Well, that's not what she said. She said she'd never met anyone. And then she goes on to say, I don't recall ever speaking with anyone from the J6 committee. So I ask you, is that perjury? Is that her being very slippery and saying, I never met with anyone and I don't recall speaking with anyone? Which, would you really not remember having a conversation with a lawyer who is part of the J6 committee when you are deciding whether or not to indict the former president of the United States? I personally find it very hard to believe that she can't remember. I'll leave that to you. Feel free to leave in the comments what your opinion is on whether or not that's perjury or just very convenient memory lapses. But I do want to close with this. I went ahead and went back through the 3 hours of her testimony with a little help from AI. And I found that, boy, she doesn't recall or doesn't remember much when you get her under oath. Go ahead, watch this. Let me know what you think.
I believe the purpose that I'm here for is because you all need assistance in doing your job, and you want assistance with rules and regulations around how people should be a prosecutor. And it made sense to me that you'd come to the best prosecutor in the state to ask for some advice. But I don't know. I don't know that I can. I don't know exactly how many. So I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I don't know the correct answer. I don't know the exact number. I don't know the number to that. I can't tell you the rules for each. I don't know the answer. I don't know what we're talking about here. I don't know anything about whatever you're talking about.
Do you know how many trips Mr. Wade took to D.C.?
In his life?
As it relates to the J6 committee or the 2020 elections interference case?
I believe one, but I don't know. I don't know all the uses because I don't know the answer. I don't know what was going on. So I don't know that I understand you. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know that I understand your question. I don't recall. I've testified. I don't recall anything about this. I don't recall ever speaking to any one of the January 6th committee. I don't recall. I've seen it. I don't recall it.
I would assume that you would have
I'm the best DA in the Southeast. Why wouldn't I be proud of my work?
That was a good one. Four minutes.
Almost 50% on reports that it's evaluating strategic options. TD backed out of the First Horizon deal.
I'm gonna do some short videos, then we'll do Billy Bean.
What's your take on what the Fed has done and how that impacts, if at all, what we're seeing in regional banks in terms of the crisis?
All right, well, let's start with the big picture, which is $1 trillion came out of the regional banking system, right? Went into bonds, went into treasuries, and went into the big four, right? $1 trillion, you know what that is? That's putting your hand on the neck of the lenders, right? They're all lending less. I think that's 100 basis point equivalent to 100 basis point interest rate hike. So of course the Fed's done. Of course they're done. They're not pausing. They are done because we're actually 100 basis points higher. It's not a rate hike, right? You hike rates so that I'll borrow less. You'll borrow less.
Are we 100 points too high?
I think we're 50 basis points high.
Too high.
Higher than they thought they would be. Now,
why are they still raising, Howard? Why
I was just showing off. You know, I said I would. I'll do the least I can. I take out the words that say I'm going to cut, and I'm going to raise any more.
You don't think it's a big mistake? You don't think it's a big mistake that backfires and they have to cut?
They're not going to cut so fast. This concept, the market's saying.
If it hits the fan, they might.
The market says 3 cuts this year. 3 cuts this year. Really? You think they raised yesterday and they're going to cut this year? Here's my call. Stays the same. Remember, if the money's come out of the banking system, raising rates doesn't change as much, cutting rates doesn't change as much. They're just going to stay steady Eddie. I think the treasury market is too low, right? I think the dollar is too high.
You mean the yields are too low in the treasury?
Yeah, come on. What do you think? The 2-year note is calling for like 6 cuts. Come on, they're not going to cut. Imagine these central bankers are like this, right? You think they're saying, "Oh, sorry, I was wrong."
If you're right in terms of the 100 basis point equivalent that credit tightening is going to do, then they might have to. They're not. If they came out yesterday and said we're going to hike 125 basis points over the next 3 months, right?
Right, what a
pretend.
disaster that
What
would
is that? But right, exactly. But you're saying that that's what the end result is going to be. And so if that is the end result, ultimately, maybe they do have to pivot. Maybe the markets have got it right in terms of 4% Fed funds by January 24.
But here's the problem. If the cut, it's not going to have the same juice, right? You know, what's happened is the string got really loose, right? So when you push that string and nothing happens, right? The hike isn't that big a deal because they just $1 trillion out of.
All right. Sorry about that one, you guys. So people talking in chat to what I'm going to add is that 97% of the government is fraud. There's not that many left in government. I researched that a long time ago. It's the whole government. That's what Trump said. He's cleaning the whole swamp.
Protesting and demanding the arrest of the corrupt governor of California after the billion-dollar theft that harmed the department across the state, especially the SWAT team, which had its budget reduced while Gavin Newsom even stole from the salaries of these officers. Newsom, who had proposed abolishing the SWAT team to divert even more money from the police force, did this while crime in Los Angeles was rising and reaching its highest level since the 90s. He has now pushed the SWAT team to protest for the first time, even demanding his arrest, with officers tired of pay cuts and working with minimal resources, often relying on equipment donated from other states. And look, we are the richest state with the highest GDP of any state in the country. But we are also the most corrupt state thanks to the Democrats who come up with a new tax and new fees for us to pay every week. It's no wonder that California is considered the fraud capital of America. Even the mayor of LA is being investigated for fraud. I am Fernanda Perez Riley, and with this demonstration by California law enforcement demanding Newsom's arrest, the governor will face criminal charges for the billions embezzled from the police, along with other criminal charges related to embezzlement, including in healthcare. After all, Newsom embezzled $50 billion from public health, the same man who claims to defend universal health care, yet went and embezzled all of that. And I repeat this here. If you want to see this criminal in prison as much as I do, don't forget to follow me.
Okay, number one.
California, in desperation, asked Donald Trump for forgiveness for brazenly stealing billions of dollars. But we know this is completely false. The guy doesn't feel any remorse. He just wants to avoid prison at any cost. And I, as a Californian, would not accept any kind of excuse from this guy because what he did to our state deserves nothing less than life in prison. I'm Fernanda Perez Riley, and the governor of California is very close to finally facing the consequences, and it's something we've been waiting for a long time before he raises taxes even more to cover the hole in the state's finances, especially because when Trump found out that Newsom was embezzling federal funds, he cut it off immediately and even demanded the return of everything that was stolen. A Washington audit revealed theft that exceeded $400 billion under Newsom's leadership. It's impossible for him to get away with stealing that many billions because he knows the DOJ has a major case against him with strong evidence that could send the entire top leadership of the California Democrats to jail. The corruption here has reached such a level that Newsom, acting desperately like a mob boss, even sent emails to his own employees because he knows he could soon be arrested. This time, it's impossible for Newsom to go unpunished. The moment so many have been waiting for has arrived, the arrest of the biggest criminal in California. And if you believe he will be arrested and properly punished, follow me here, because when that day comes, we will toast the fall of this thief.
Okay, two more I got.
employees after a confession from a former member of his staff who told the FBI that he had helped Newsom defraud billion-dollar contracts with companies that don't even exist. This led Newsom to start a desperate witch hunt for other possible employees who might confess to the corruption of Democrats in California. At least 12 emails were uncovered in which Newsom sent threatening messages in the early hours of the morning to anyone who betrayed him. The confession of Newsom's former right-hand man helped the FBI track down additional emails in which he had also been threatened with death by the governor. It was also revealed that Newsom blackmailed Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas, a member of his own party, using sexual blackmail and threatening to leak photos of Rivas with prostitutes after a meeting in which Rivas wanted to remove the governor because of the various scandals that could drag down several other Democrats in the Assembly who are being investigated and could be arrested along with Newsom for illicit favoritism and covering up corruption in the state. I am Fernanda Perez Riley, and if
Okay, one more with her. She had 4 of them we didn't see.
Florida's financial system to launder embezzled money
I'm
through
not
frontmen
sure,
in Miami who are
Mary.
identified by authorities as being involved in illicit transfers coming from California to foundations controlled by Democrats who used stolen money to buy properties in the state. Newsom acquired a super yacht valued at $14 million in Miami, in addition to other properties. They use a classic scheme: divert public money, send it to another state, buy real estate, cars, and luxury yachts, then sell them through legitimate companies to give the appearance of legality. This is the classic money laundering scheme. This is the level of corruption in California. Legitimate companies in our state are leaving because of high taxes and their refusal to pay bribes. And this is new information. Newsom took bribes from businessmen to keep contracts active with several companies that are now relocating to other states. The investigation conducted by the Florida prosecutor revealed exactly that. A businessman confessed that he left California after refusing to pay the bribe demanded by Newsom to keep his company operating here. I am Fernanda Perez Riley, and every day that passes, new.
Okay.
February 26th in her closed-door deposition in front of the House Oversight Committee regarding Jeffrey Epstein. Mr. Chairman, ranking member, members of the committee, as a former senator, I have respect for legislative oversight, and I expect its exercise, as do the American people, to be principled and fearless in pursuit of truth and accountability. As we all know, however, too often congressional investigations are partisan political theater, which is an abdication of duty and an insult to the American people. The committee justified its subpoena to me based on its assumption that I have information regarding the investigations into the criminal activities of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me be as clear as I can. I do not. As I stated in my sworn declaration on January 13, I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his island, homes, or offices. I have nothing to add to that. This is the open.
Okay. Statement out of that from the other day. Okay, no comment in chat. I haven't seen none.
Favorite scripture. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That scripture has walked with me, it has grown me from a little girl on up. Not having no longer my mother here, no longer having my father here, my husband not having his mother and his father here. We opened Hebrews 11:1 with no funding, no money, no big family investors, no business loans, didn't have great credit. It was us and faith in God. That was 7 years ago. But I ran that business with just myself and one employee. Then here comes no tax on tips. I was able to hire 7 more employees just by what she did. Not only that, I was able to open a second location on our college campus. Things are just going off simply because having now faith. And so I love the fact of that scripture. Now, I say all of that I'm trying to stick to my little written down thing that I wrote. I don't know how to do that so well. But as a small business owner, I understand how critical support is. I understand that you have to have the right people that make the right policies for us as small business owners. So no tax on tips has been a extreme blessing for me and my business. Not just mine, but I know so many people across the country. I know a lot of us don't want to talk about the good part of it. We only want to share the negative, but I'm here today to tell you you've done a great thing. Thank you for just loving on us and showing us that even in small town Hope, Arkansas, and I have got to say this, I have the best governor in the world. I don't only just call Sarah my friend, I call her my sister. And so that's why I am here today to just tell you that no tax on tips has been an amazing blessing for me. President Trump has been an amazing blessing for me. And at the end of the day, Jesus has been an amazing blessing for me. I love you guys and thank you so much because I am a youth pastor, but I will not preach on today. I love y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess no tax on tips and stuff's working. And the taxes too on overtime's working too. Other TikTok lady.
Turn a house of God into
This
a battleground,
one's real,
interrupting
Larry.
prayers, shouting down congregants, and harassing everyday Americans who are simply trying to just exercise their faith. And who was right there in the thick of it? Don Lemon, live streaming the chaos, embedding with the protesters, and even defending the disruption. This wasn't peaceful protest. It was intimidation in a sacred space, a direct assault on religious freedom. And what does Don Lemon say this morning? He says the problem is the white supremacists who were sitting in that church.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
Surprise, surprise, the race card makes another cameo. That's all they've got. The DOJ now taking action. We're going to show you who's facing arrest and when accountability is expected to happen, because federal prosecutors move very differently than Minnesota state authorities. We also have another stunning case caught on camera, a felony committed in plain sight by a Somali woman, and it's now triggering FBI involvement. You're going to want to see this. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive in. Now, think about what happened yesterday. I mean, imagine storming a church in the middle of worship and convincing yourself you're the good guy. That's what these folks did in St. Paul, Minnesota. Families were attending mass when a group of anti-ICE protesters rushed in, chanting, shouting, and hijacking the service. Take a look.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities?
Harassing Americans who are just peacefully worshiping God with their families is now not just tolerated by the left, it's encouraged. And Don Lemon, he lit the match on this entire charade. Take a listen to how Lemon justifies storming a church, disrupting mass, and terrorizing families, all while pretending he's defending the Constitution.
This is the beginning of what's going to happen here. When you violate people's due process, when you pull people off the street and you start dragging them and hurting them and not abiding by the Constitution, when you start doing all of that, people get upset and angry. There's nothing in the Constitution that tells you what time you can protest. You can protest at any time. That's the whole point of it, is to disrupt, to make uncomfortable. And that's what they're doing. And that's what I believe when I say everyone has to be willing to sacrifice something. You have to make people uncomfortable.
Someone needs to explain basic civics to Don Lemon, because your First Amendment right to protect does not override someone else's First Amendment right to worship. This protest violated the FACE Act, which explicitly prohibits intentionally injuring, intimidating, or interfering with anyone that's exercising their religious freedom at a place of worship. And here's the irony in all this. The media doesn't want to talk about this, but Joe Biden's DOJ used the FACE Act to jail pro-life activists who sat peacefully in a hallway outside an abortion clinic. Remember this? They were just singing hymns. 11 people charged, each of them facing up to 11 years in cell.
Okay, the first one, I got a second one here. Then we'll do one Benny, and then we'll get to Billy Bean.
Then, oh, he went all in on Operation Winter Wonderland.
Mr. Mayor, are you willing to revise your statement regarding the snowball fight, given that this was not exactly a friendly back and forth snowball fight? The police that were there were not throwing any snowballs. They were getting pelted themselves. And number two, have you considered, or would you consider banning these crowdsourcing events, because they can and sometimes do get out of hand?
So I'm not going to be banning snowball fights or organized snowball fights. I've shared my thoughts with New Yorkers, and I continue to believe that what we are seeing in this response to this winter blizzard from the city workers as a whole, and that includes the hardworking men and women of the NYPD, is part of why the city's getting back on its feet, and I'm appreciative of that work.
Imagine for a moment the mayor walking down the street and suddenly a crowd starts pelting him in the face with snowballs. Does anyone honestly believe his security detail would just stand there and say, yes, this appears to be a festive exchange of frozen precipitation? Or would it be instant takedown mode? I promise you, if it were City Hall getting hit instead of uniformed officers, this would not be dismissed as a Hallmark Channel moment. Now for the breaking development. Thankfully, the NYPD refused to accept the mayor's response, and they immediately went to work. As a result, I can now report an arrest has been made this morning. 27-year-old cuffed. The exact charges related to the snowball incident still being sorted out. But here's an interesting detail. This follows a previous arrest less than 3 weeks ago. Opportunity to say, we will not tolerate assaults on officers. Instead,
okay, we got two of those out today. Now we'll get to Benny's here. One now, and then Billy Bean. A minute.
Here are exact quotes from CNN staffers from seconds ago. We are doomed. We are effed. Panic at CNN is off the charts right now. The entire CNN headquarters inside of the fancy Hudson Yards building in New York City is a mood that has arrested the entire network. Total and complete blackpilling and panic because Netflix woke. Netflix that wants to trans the kids and push global climate conspiracies and put Barack Obama in charge of everything has officially dropped their bid to buy Warner Brothers, which owns CNN, in favor of Paramount. This would be the Trump-aligned Paramount that promised that they would do a radical overhaul of CNN to Donald Trump. Get a load of this. Paramount boss David Ellison is believed to have assured Trump officials that the government, if the government approves his acquisition of Warner Brothers, that he would overhaul the president's media's arch nemesis, CNN. Netflix tried to acquire Warner Brothers and HBO for $72 billion, but now they have dropped their bid as of this morning, giving the entire platform and a lot of other platforms over to Trump-aligned Ellison family. Get a load of this. The transaction we negotiated would have created a shareholder value with a clear path to regulatory approval. However, we've always been disciplined. The price required to match Paramount's latest offer, the deal is no longer financially attractive, so we're declining to match Paramount's deal, says Netflix CEO. Warner Brothers is a world-class organization. We thank the Warner Brothers team for running a fair and rigorous process. Netflix has dropped their bid to acquire Warner Brothers. That means that Paramount now owns this, all of this. Goodness gracious. I mean, you're talking the largest media empire in world history, I think. And look at all of the franchises that they own. Look at everything. They own the Rugrats. The Rugrats! Not sure Cloverfield is a huge franchise I don't really care about. I do care about the Ninja Turtles. Come on, baby. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. The big ones in there. Batman, Superman. Obviously, DC Comics. Garfield. Come on. Anyway, the point is that CNN's also in there. Yo, here it is. CNN, CBS, and CNN is straight up freaking panicking. CNN braces for Ellison's control. Again, they have promised Trump that they would do a massive makeover of the platform and program. President reportedly told people close to him that he wants new ownership of CNN and changes to his programming. CNN is one of the outlets that Trump most brands fake news unfavorable to his agenda. Oh, man. Why? I wonder why their ratings are down. You know, it really makes you wonder. Ellison was spotted on Sunday night with Trump in the presidential box at the Kennedy Center. Baby. Okay. Well, they ended up winning, and now CNN could be totally toast. Panic at CNN as Trump and his buddies plot to turn network MAGA. Oh, you just love it. Oh, it's delicious. Here we go. Staff at CNN are melting down. Donald Trump and his cronies are set to sink their claws into the network. CNN appears destined to be MAGA-friendly after Netflix boss declared that he was out Warner Brothers Discovery and that Paramount would win their bidding war. We're doomed. We're effed. Oh, man. Looking forward to my CNN show. Weiss, the CBS news editor-in-chief, has steered that network into Trump-friendly territory since taking over last year. I'm not exactly sure that's true. It's just fair territory, right? Like you're giving both sides. You're not calling one side racist Nazis every single time you get a chance. Crying on camera. Earlier this month, veteran broadcaster Anderson Cooper cut ties with CBS in 60 Minutes to focus on his CNN show. Well, how'd that work out for you? The official line was he wanted to spend more time with his family. Sources say he grew weary of the new management. Paramount closes the deal. He'll be on a collision course with the higher-ups he fled to avoid. One source told News Nation that this would prove difficult for Cooper to stomach. Will be messy and uncomfortable if Barry and Anderson are under the same roof. Cooper will know blah, blah, blah. Who cares about Anderson Cooper? Like, no one cares. No one cares. But it's funny to watch all the CNN dorks panic. It's great. In December, Trump spoke about his disdain for CNN and his hopes that it would soon fall under new ownership. I don't like the people running the company right now, running CNN, very dishonest group of people. They should be sold along with everything else. Another cause for concern is that, of course, they are trying to do news fairly. That would be a change for CNN. You can hear it in the clip here.
Yeah, Ellison has talked in recent months about how he wants to sustain the news business in the United States. And he's talked about his belief that, quote, the majority of the country longs for news that is balanced and is fact-based. And Wolf, that sure sounds a lot like CNN's mission. A lot of similarities here.
Okay. If that's CNN's mission, why are all your staffers panicking?
4 minutes and Billy Dean
mood in the Trump camp was jubilant. They think Trump won the day. CNN staffers are on life support. Ooh, very fun, very exciting times. Look at this. Just great news. CNN staffers doomed. We're doomed. We're effed. Everybody is reeling about obvious things. Panic at CNN right now is off the charts. The larger mood has arrested the network. CNN braces for Ellison's control. Uh-oh. Yikes. Just great here. On Thursday afternoon, shortly after Netflix departed the White House, the Justice Department, Netflix issued a statement. The entertainment industry, Netflix, which is widely expected to counter Paramount's superior bid for Warner Brothers, said there's no longer financially attractive. This reverts then to Paramount The move guarantees brutal layoffs across the company, landed like a meteor at Hudson Yards. Inside of CNN, alarm bells went off as staffers began to panic. Suddenly, very real prospect that they'd be working for Barry Weiss. It's so funny. Oh, this is great. Okay, there you go. A massive deal. It's an $81 billion offer for Warner Brothers. Netflix bid was much less, and almost $10 billion less. So there you go. They have to pay a little like $1 billion breakup fee. CNN will be added to their portfolio. Media watchdogs on life support. Look at that. Look at everything they own now. Ugh, goodness gracious. I mean, it is what it is, right? That's all, folks. Ellison and Paramount were too much to ignore. Now they got them. CNN staffers petrified at prospect of takeover by Trump-friendly billionaire. I just love it. The panic at Jake Tapper. The panic at Jake Tapper show.
So we have some breaking news in our national lead that affects everybody I'm looking at right now in the studio. Moments ago, Netflix said it is declining to raise its offer for the purchase of Warner Brothers Studios and HBO, following the Warner Brothers Discovery Board's determination that Paramount, which is not just going for Warner Brothers Studios and HBO, but also the whole enchilada, including us here at CNN, Paramount has submitted a superior offer, according to
you can hear
Warner
the
Brothers
panic in
Discovery's
his
board. As I've noted, Warner Brothers Discovery is the parent company of CNN. So let's get right to CNN Chief Media Analyst Brian Stelter. So
Okay, yeah, thank you. Watch them cry, ladies and gentlemen. Fun days. CNN in panic. We meet at this time. It's going to be amazing to see who goes first. And will Tucker Carlson own CNN? That was the rumor. Tucker will be put in charge of CNN. Is that why Tucker was at the White House this week? We'll see. It's your boy Betty. Like, share, subscribe. The most entertaining outcome is often the most likely.
Okay, first penny for today.
February 27, 2026, time in Texas, about 10 a.m. Some of the things we'll cover today. What's going on with the sun and the Schumann? And we have information about Bohemian Grove, Epstein secrets, President Trump and China and Iran, and the U.S. military gears up, it appears, to hit Iran. So let's get started. So what do we have going on with the sun today? The sun did let out a filament a few days ago that should give us tomorrow, February 28, a G1 to G2 geomagnetic storm. We have the comet MAPS going toward the sun to be closest to it, April 4. And March 3, a blood moon, planets in alignment, and more. What do we, with the Schumann, the vibration of the Earth, which is caused and modulated mostly by lightning on the Earth, but the lightning is impacted by the sun. So we have a relationship between the sun, lightning, and the Schumann vibration within the Earth. And we're hearing changes are taking place in the Schumann because Earth's electromagnetic shield is dramatically weakened, and we are in the process of a pole shift on Earth. So that's going on, and we know the Schumann is necessary for human health, both physical and mental stability. So if changes are going on in the Schumann, we can expect impacts on our health. So that's going on. And we have this, So a CME will brush the Earth tomorrow, giving us a G1, G2 geomagnetic storm. We've been hearing about ancient fault lines being discovered primarily along the east coast of the U.S. And now we're hearing what's going on in South Carolina. So Thursday, barely beneath the surface of the Earth, 1/10 mile deep, they had about a 3-pointer because it was so shallow. It was felt by 200,000 people in South Carolina. In February, there have been 10 small quakes, 2 to 3 magnitude. So we see the ancient fault line underneath South Carolina coming to life. And the earthquake, the shallow Thursday, was about a magnitude 3. So that's going on. Many, many people felt that earthquake Thursday. We have this from Daily Mail. President Trump and Operation Scorpion. President Trump has approved the use of armed kamikaze drones called Scorpions.
We went on a mission to create the most versatile travel pants ever. A pair of pants that perfectly balances.
That can self-detonate at they cost each $35,000 each, so that's inexpensive in military terms. But he's authorized the use of the self-detonating kamikaze drones over Iran. And we know yesterday, Thursday, we had a congressional hearing questioning HRC about Jeffrey Epstein. Her consistent answers: I know nothing, I saw nothing, yes, and I speak nothing. Now, it's my impression that this individual alleged to be HRC is actually a double. So when she answers, I don't know anything about Epstein, that would be true. Now, today, we're supposed to have questioning of Clinton, Bill Clinton, who does appear to be the real deal. So it'll be interesting to hear what answers he gives. I speculate he'll also say, I know nothing, I say nothing, I speak nothing. What do we have going on with China? So for years, I've heard there are CCP military in Mexico. It's now been confirmed to me that in Mexico, we do indeed have 100,000 CCP military. We also have an unknown number of the terrorist group ISIS, and we have the cartels. It's speculated that when this military action against Iran kicks off, that we may see some impact from these CCP military cartels, ISIS in Mexico. Now, it's becoming increasingly clear that it is unknown who is in control of the CCP military. In my opinion, it does not appear to be Xi, who appears to have lost support by both the Chinese military and the Communist Party, the CCP, in China. And we know that for the past several months, Xi has consistently been purging the Chinese military of all generals who have combat experience. And that includes the top tier of generals. Therefore, it is unknown who is in charge of the Chinese military. Who could give an order to the 100,000 CCP currently in Mexico to hit America? Unknown. We are also hearing that President Trump is writing a 17-page draft executive order detailing how China orchestrated the 2020 U.S. presidential coup. So we've got a lot going on also with a primary enemy of America, China. And we have this. We have President Trump to deliver, he's working on the executive order about China. I don't know what that would involve, but definitely that would designate China as a primary enemy of the U.S. and codify that in an executive order.
20 minutes.
What do we have going on in Minnesota? So I brought up my last video how the U.S. government is cutting off Medicare, Medicaid money to Minnesota for up to 6 months for the legislature to put forth a bill addressing controlling fraud in Minnesota. And now today we're hearing the Minnesota legislature is putting forth a bill to impeach both Governor Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison because they allowed fraud to occur in Minnesota. We're hearing up to $200 billion worth of fraud. So that's going on. Bohemian Grove, we know, located in Sonoma County, California, where the deep state has rituals and ceremonies once a year. And it's believed that, if you want to rise in politics or business, you need to be among the 2,000 members. Some names coming out associated with Bohemian Grove is a late night talk host, Conan O'Brien, ex-mayor of New York City, Bloomberg, and ex-Google CEO, Eric Schmidt. So that's going on. Epstein. So we have this. Epstein hired private investigators. That was about in 2009, I believe. That's when he was indicted for sex trafficking. And we know he supposedly later died in jail in 2009. Before 2009, he was tipped off there were going to be raids. We know he has Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. He has a mansion in New York City, Epstein Island. He has a luxurious apartment in Paris. And it's believed also other locations. So he hired private investigators in Palm Beach. He also has a Florida home to secure in secret lockers certain information, including videos, sex manuals, sex toys, a 3-page list of Florida masseuses, 3 computers, 29 address books, nude photos of Epstein victims, pornographic magazines. He had a lot of stuff. And also birthday cards, Christmas cards. He kept all paper and emails and calendars, cash. And these are secured in 6 different locker locations across the U.S. Since this is coming out, I assume the FBI has secured those lockers. We have this from Dr. G Explains about Epstein, that there were many emails released by the DOJ relate to emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell regarding burying pets. Now, it's believed they didn't have any pets. I also believe the FBI has already secured these burial sites located on Epstein Island, Zorro Ranch, and other locations. But emails are now coming out about these. Also, emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of the UK, where Prince Andrew was inviting Jeffrey Epstein in 2010 to Buckingham Palace. And Prince Andrew says, "We'll have plenty of privacy." Prince Andrew's email name to Jeffrey Epstein, Invisible Man. So that's going on. And now we'll talk about this war situation with Iran. So we have BP Earthwatch bringing out that about 2 days ago, 150 Iran resistance paramilitary were able to breach the compound of the Ayatollah in Iran. And we understand the Ayatollah has inside his compound 8,000 Iranian military. But it's said that 150 were able to breach the compound and get out safely. Sounds like, to me, special forces. And we're hearing, Ayatollah is now being guarded by 8,000 military. So that's going on. We have this also, yesterday. Okay, so we had talks yesterday in Geneva, Switzerland, between Iran and the U.S. Iran came out and said they'd made progress. During the break, as I reported yesterday, they had morning talks and afternoon talks. During the break, the U.S. juiced up more military moves. Then after the afternoon session, it's believed today, Friday, we know that we've been hearing all week that the U.S. military has a beef with an AI company, Anthropic. I submit, I believe this pushback by the U.S. military against Anthropic AI, saying that the U.S. military wants Anthropic AI to give the U.S. military control over the AI system the U.S. military contracted with Anthropic about. I submit this is all theater. But we are learning one important thing coming out about the supposed pushback of the U.S. military against a private company, Anthropic, that by Friday, the U.S. military wants Skynet to go live. Oh, you thought Skynet was only in the movies? I submit the movies were talking about the real deal all along, where the U.S. military will have the capability via AI to remotely control bombs. So that's going on. And we know Friday, today at 3 p.m., President Trump is having a sit-rep about the situation in Iran. It's speculated by many analysts that the U.S. will go hot tomorrow. And Yesterday, then, when the Iranian government concluded their talks with the U.S.,
Flying Eagle.
the Iranian government cut
earlier.
all internet services. They cut all GPS connections, cutting off 92 million people in Iran from the outside world. Global internet connectivity between Iran and the internet has been cut. And they also took down a national information network inside Iran. So the Iranian government yesterday.
He couldn't find time to get to the clinic. So he opened up the Teladoc Health app to connect to a doctor in minutes for a
cut off the internet from Iran to the outside world. They also cut inside Iran, intra-Iran connectivity. They have also jammed GPS. They have targeted Starlink. And they have cut VPN actions. So Iran yesterday cut off contact with the outside world and also inside Iran. So we have this from MonkeyWorks this morning. He put out a special Friday edition telling us that constant Phoenix, so right here along in the red Mediterranean Sea around Israel, we have a constant Phoenix operating. They're going off the coast of Italy. We have the island Crete, and then we have another island, Malta. So constant Phoenix is operating between Crete and Malta with their transponders on. Constant Phoenix with their transponders off is nuke sniffing along the coastline of Israel and in the Mediterranean Sea. So we have that going on today. And we have this. We have that planes are up, U.S. planes. We know we have 350 to 500 planes in the Middle East. We had some additional surveillance and other type planes go to the Middle East yesterday. We have up over the Middle East kill chain authority surveillance planes, including a NATO E-3. Now, we've heard that the Chinese have leaked intel to Iran about the location of U.S. assets in the Middle East. But we have this, a Chinese leak, that E-3s, those are surveillance U.S. planes, and KC-135 refuelers are in Saudi Arabia. And yes, President Trump is writing a 17-page executive order detailing China's involvement in the U.S. election of 2020. And we sent also yesterday more U.S. troops to the UAE. Russian planes, it is being reported, are in Turkey, as are French planes. So we have Turkey, Lebanon, Syria. Israel is currently hitting the Iranian proxy Hezbollah and the Iranian Special Forces IRGC inside Lebanon and Syria. And we know in the last 2 weeks, the U.S. military evacuated U.S. troops from Syria from 2 bases. So that's going on today. And we have also today the U.S. evacuating family members of embassy diplomats at the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. We also have a U.S. drone has been lost over the Strait of Hormuz, which is about in this area where much of the world's oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz. And it's believed the U.S. lost a U.S. drone over the Strait of Hormuz, brought down by Chinese electronic warfare. And it's being, I bring this forth. We're seeing Iran jamming GPS. We're seeing China using electronic warfare. It's my understanding from a source that the U.S. missiles years ago were taken off of GPS guidance, and that U.S. missiles are autonomous and guided exclusively by the U.S. military. So jamming GPS using electronic warfare is not going to work. And we have this, that the Chinese embassy in the U.S. and Israel has simply told its people to strengthen their security. We have this also, that we have all U.S. RC-135 refuelers leaving Qatar. Qatar is right about here. And yesterday, out of Bahrain, we saw the U.S. Fifth Fleet moving all ships out. Now today from Qatar, we're seeing the U.S. moving its refuelers out. It's believed that Qatar may be the first strike by Iran. Today, Israel is opening public shelters. And we see, yes, Iran proxies are operating in Syria and Lebanon, but they're being hit by Israel. That began yesterday. We have the New York Times reporting to American citizens in Israel to leave Israel immediately. We have this, that Israel hits today Hezbollah and IRGC in Lebanon and Syria. We also see today on the Brent measure, the price of oil going up to $73 per barrel. And we have this from the U.S. Department of War. Yes, talking about their AI Skynet system. They want it operational by Friday. This includes Anthropic AI. And as I said, I believe this pushback between the U.S. military and Anthropic, we've heard about this week via mainstream media, I believe was theater, but it did transmit this message to the American people that the U.S. military has in place Skynet, which any reasonable person would have deducted a long time ago, based on the fact that we have tens of thousands of U.S. military satellites up in the sky. President Trump has a sit rep scheduled for 3 p.m. this afternoon. So it's highly likely the U.S. military will go hot this weekend. It's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, 28 minutes on Billy today. So I think we can, are we allowed to play Monkey Works video? What Billy Bean was saying, it's 24 minutes. I'll play it if you want. I'm going to show some photos here if you guys want me to. Oh, wait. Here we go.
We never met him.
It's not true.
A ridiculous story.
I never met Epstein.
We never met him.
It's not true.
A ridiculous story.
And his favorite dress here. Chico. There you have it. His outfit. Hey. So I'm going to play our mock works unless you guys don't want me to. Uh-oh. Chico's talking. Here you go. $24.
In a world constantly in motion, where skies tell stories untold. One channel has the eyes to see beyond the visible. Welcome to Monkey Works. Join us as we track and analyze the movements that shape our reality. From geopolitical shifts to the silent ops that never make the news. Dive deep into this unique perspective where we decode the signals above and reveal the stories they hide. Be part of a community that values truth and transparency, where every flight tells a story. Subscribe and join the mission. Stay aware, stay prepared, and stay vigilant with Monkey Works.
All right. Hey, welcome, folks. This is going to be a special report, Sit Rep. It's Friday. It's 2/27/2026. And I'm just going to throw a short one out there. It's not short enough for a short, but it's not long enough for a long. So it's going to just kind of be in between. I'm seeing some things take shape right now in the news, as well as in the skies, that I do believe would take us to the next level of a high probability of some type of a kinetic action within the next, probably, if I was to frame it, man, I'm going to say 72 hours. I think we're definitely within that range, and I'll show you why, and I'll walk through it here with you. We'll look at the skies first, and then we'll kind of peel the banana back into what has been said and communicated that would be a good indicator that things may be on the verge of going kinetic. I will tell you, the talks did not go well. When sides come out and they go, it was productive, it was strong and passionate. Yeah, you got to read between the lines there. And what that told us after I read the response and that they'd walked out and that they were both pretty much digging their heels in, that they made no forward progress. And I think both sides probably realized that we better go get our act together because we're getting ready to do something. So, okay, so let's go start off over here in Skyglass as always. And we're going to just focus on the Middle East initially. I'm going to show you some flight traffic that I think is important over the United States recently that we should pay attention to, because it absolutely is a little concerning given the type of aircraft and what this aircraft does. So first and foremost, you're going to notice there is a call sign, Olive 27, right? And it's a C-135, and it is landing. The red triangle means it's descending. It's landing in Malta. Now I'm going to show you the flight history.
I'll play
And I'm
it.
going to tell you why we should be maybe paying
This one's
attention to
short.
this, because this doesn't happen very often. This is one of those aircraft that when it leaves the United States, it is a very precise mission. They really go out and do a lot of training type of stuff, especially in this environment. This will be like straight up. They're going in, they look at a certain area because they have certain concerns. Now, this aircraft it's in the R-135 family, but it's part of Constant Phoenix. The reason it's important is because Constant Phoenix is a nuke sniffer. It is looking for things in the atmosphere that would indicate that somebody has got some type of nuclear content in the area, has passed through that area with something. So the fact that they are bringing this in tells you that there is absolutely a concern that maybe somebody could get their hands on something that would not be good. So again, don't know this for a fact. I'm just putting it out there. So let's kind of just show you what this aircraft has been doing in the last, well, this right here is just today. Okay. And, it goes over to Crete first, then back to Malta. The reason that's important is because it's, why would you go past the destination only to turn around and come back closer 40 minutes? Now, here's another one for you before we get back over to the Middle East. This was on the 22nd. So just right at the very beginning, 5 days ago. Do you see this flight pattern? How it just kind of flies along the southern border? A nuke sniffer along our southern border. Do you think they're worried about maybe something over there? That's the only reason you would do that. Like talking about like dirty bomb material, somebody park a nuke on the other side of our border, somebody trying to get something across the border. It's absolutely is concerning because anytime that aircraft gets airborne, it always is something you watch it very closely, but they know that guys like me are watching it. So here is the thing. When I showed you the leg, it lands in Crete. And I thought, well, okay, well, could it be, weather in the area that caused them to kind of bypass Malta, come into Crete, and then wait for weather to clear, stretch their legs a bit, top off on fuel, and then fly back. But I mean, you can see the weather it's almost pristine. I mean, you got a little bit of cloud cover, around Spain, around Gibraltar. You got a little bit of a frost warning, some rain in London. I know it's a shocker, or rain in London and rain moving into London, but there's nothing that would divert this aircraft based on weather to send it to Crete first. Now, here's the thing. There is a window from the time it landed in Crete to the time it moved to Malta. Is it plausible?
Everybody okay?
That aircraft went out, flew a quick mission somewhere around the Med, landed, and that would be transponders off, no traceability. They don't want you knowing where they're looking. Very plausible. Could they have landed in Crete, gotten some fuel, a little crew rest, then bounce back over? It was less than 12 hours, which is, I mean, crew rest maybe, but normally, crew rest, you get a good 12-hour break before you do the next leg. But anyway, that's the first thing. Okay. Just something that it when it flies into the area, you realize it's almost like the B-2. There are a handful of aircraft that when they arrive, almost like the Doomsday plane, 747, if that came over to this side of the drink, E6s that are talking to your nukes on your subs, that kind of aircraft that makes you just stand up and pay attention. So there is that aspect. Now, the next one, we're just going to take a look at what's in the sky. Notice you have a NATO E3 that's in the region around Turkey. So this aircraft platform, again, this is kill chain authority. Just remember that. It is just to kind of give you an idea. It can look at sea traffic. It can look at air traffic. It can look at ground objects. It can map battlefields. It can coordinate end to end everything that needs to happen on a battlefield. Airstrikes, naval strikes, whatever it may be. So not uncommon for the NATO E3s to be there. But remember, the Chinese just leaked the fact that we parked a whole bunch of E3s out here, right? E3s and KC-135s, air refuelers in Saudi. All right, we'll go through some of the news on that too, because this is interesting. Some things have been repositioned as of recently, taking them out of range. So that tells us that somebody is seeing something take shape inside Iran that they're not
that Billy Bean was talking
comfortable
about.
with. Iran is gassing up its missiles, whatever it may be, okay? Positioning its missiles that would look like they are expecting us to strike, or they're going to try and do a preemptive, which, God help them, it's not going to be good for them either way, okay? This aircraft right here, this is Omni, okay? They do a lot of camber flights. They are a big third-party DOD supporter, will fly a lot of cargo, not wide body cargo. They move a lot of troops. You'll see them transition out of Alliance and Fort Bliss and Biggs, etc. But they have just arrived right here, which tells me maybe we just brought some more troops in. Okay, boots on the ground in, well, this area. And these guys, these could be any type of troops. Doesn't necessarily mean it's, when I say boots on the ground, I just meant, troops on ground there, not boots on the ground headed into Iran. Okay, just have to clarify that. So then it brings us back up to here. You'll notice you got some Russian assets that are also over Turkey, some French assets here. Okay, so French and Russians over Turkey. Turkish A400 aircraft that is airborne, and don't really read anything out of these unless they're moving people out of embassies, etc. Now, Turkish drones, also pretty common around this area, headed in through around Istanbul. That looks at sea traffic, etc. Again, something common that we see. Israeli B-703. This is a multi-purpose, multi-role aircraft. It shapes battlefields, but it also does air refueling. You'll notice the air refueling boom on the back. A couple C-130s. That's Navy Logistics C-130. C-17 Reach coming out of the area, and air refueler out over the Med, which is probably supporting flight operations from the Ford. Okay. Same thing here. You'll notice some air refuelers around here. That says tests. I don't know what that is. But these should be air refuelers in the region. Okay. Just take a gander a little north, see if I see anything that is catches my eye. It's Russian aircraft. Okay. All right. So now let's go through some of the news and why I say it is definitely time to start paying attention. Okay. So first and foremost, when you see the embassies start to tell people to get out of Dodge or to stay, keep your head on a swivel, etc., have emergency plans, that tells you that the chatter within the intelligence community and within the diplomatic community knows that the talks didn't go well, that they're starting to see a heightened level take shape. So this is Chinese embassy in Israel ask its nationals to strengthen security precautions and emergency preparedness. Now, take a look at this one. It says all U.S. Air Force tanker aircraft have been evacuated. That is in Doha in Qatar. So the fact that we have just flown all of the air refuelers out of that region means they knew sitting on the ground, they were within range. Where did they go? Well, that's $1 million question. Because I think we're within a window here. I'm not going to show the KC-135 traffic. I'm just going to kind of leave that alone right now, right? Because I just don't. It's just one of those things. You don't want to show where they went. You just leave it. I have an idea where they have gone, but we're going to leave it for now. All right. I'm not going to go into the details of where that is.
3:30, you guys. 3:30.
So
come back.
The fact that they have departed this area right here tells you that is absolutely one of the first strike locations. And the last thing you need are your tankers, which you don't have a great deal of them available. Last thing you want are those to be hit and taken out of commission, because that's how you support all the aircraft on the aircraft carriers. That's how you get your B-2s in the region, all of that. Anything within this range is going to be, it's all going to be within range of the missiles that Iran has. All right. And now you've added, here's the interesting thing in the last 72 hours. It says another warship has joined the U.S. Navy's Middle East buildup. A defense official says USS John Finn, a destroyer. So you got another Navy destroyer entered the CENTCOM region within the last 72 hours. There's now 12 American ships positioned near Iran and several more in the Mediterranean. Oh, yeah. I mean, you got an armada on both sides, here and here. So we know the Ford left Crete and was headed eastbound. So the Ford is probably operating just south of Cyprus, if I was a betting man, which puts it a lot closer in terms of strike range. Now, here's another one. Okay. The Israelis are starting to tell people, sound it out, man. The municipality has ordered the opening of public shelters across the city under the mayor's directive, according to municipality. Notice, so they're opening all public shelters. Okay, that tells you they're seeing something happen, and it could be, honestly, it could be something up here near Lebanon. Remember, you have an immense amount of proxies, Iranian proxies, inside Syria and inside Lebanon, and a lot. Things that we're going to be watching for will be potential preemptive strikes by Israel to take out targets that they are watching inside those two locations. Isaiah 17, right? Damascus goes bye-bye. Could that be on the table? Plausible. Anything can happen, folks, especially when you got a nuke sniffer in the region, right? There's a reason for that. Okay, New York Times report, U.S. ambassador to Israel's message to mission members, top priority is to leave the country as quickly as possible. Okay, again, you're going to give people enough time. I am sure if you actually read the message, it probably gives you a very specific time frame, not just ASAP, right? It is probably, you got about 48 hours to get out, because air traffic is going to definitely slim down as soon as things go. U.S. Embassy in Israel, February 27th, the Department of State authorized departure of non-emergency U.S. government personnel and family members of U.S. government personnel from Mission Israel due to safety risk. The response to security incidents, and without advance notice, the U.S. Embassy may further restrict or prohibit U.S. government employees and their family members from traveling to certain areas of Israel. The old city of Jerusalem, right? You're talking Temple Mount, all of that, right? The West Bank, ancient Samaria. Persons may wish to consider leaving Israel while commercial flights are available. So, boom, another red flag. When the embassies start popping off, then that tells you that we're getting close to something kinetic happening. The fact that they're telling people to be secure inside Israel tells you that, you may have another October 7th type of situation where, there's an internal attack inside Israel. Now, United Nations 5 hours ago were appalled by reports of sentencings of 8 people, including children, to death in connection with the protests. Barbaric, man. Barbaric. All right. And then, of course, here's another one. Remember I said, watch Israel. They'll start popping things off inside the Lebanon, etc., being proactive. It says, Iranian Foreign Ministry, we strongly condemn the attacks on Lebanon, including this Bekaa Valley, which resulted in the death and injury of civilians. There was an earthquake there. Okay. So, again, embassies are starting to tell people you're seeing the movement of critical assets out of immediate strike range. And that's probably because they knew if a barrage comes in, they're going to take out these aircraft that are on the tarmac, and we are not going to have the ability to do a long campaign against Iran. Okay, now let me take a look at Israel, and we want to see what has happened over here that would be in the news. Now, I'm looking up here towards Lebanon. You'll notice Israel's starting to take and hit targets pretty. I mean, here's Damascus here. So that is airstrikes hitting up here. Again, that is because you have a large buildup of Hezbollah and IRGC in Lebanon and around Damascus and right up here. I mean, it's only 39 kilometers from the northern end of Israel to Damascus. So very, very close proximity. Let's see what we got here. Looks like Israeli forces fired tear gas and stun grenades. So that's in Jerusalem. All right. Continue on. Then you get down here. You can see some airstrikes going on there as well. So, as always, head on a swivel. Okay. Jump over here to ForeFlight. You can also see this. I don't see any new NOTAMs that would indicate things have changed quite yet. I don't know that we will see it if we go to war. Other than air traffic, you'll probably see the cessation of air traffic, like commercial traffic, into Iran. That'll probably, the airport will close in Tehran, airspace will be closed, etc. Traffic around the Med and into Israel will probably be closed. Qatar, all of this, you'll notice that flights will start to be canceled. So we'll keep our eye on the board for those. Here's another indicator. Look at what's going on with the oil. Brent is, let me just hit a quick refresh, but it's at 72.98. It was up to 73 just a minute ago. So the fact that is starting to spike also tells you that they're also probably seeing and hearing news that there's some stuff on the horizon, near horizon. And then let's just hit refresh, and you'll notice too that traffic starts to really slow down. You can see a lot of stuff parked inside the Persian Gulf, and you can see a lot of stuff that is parked here, meaning that the transit, look out here, also parked. This little corridor is probably not flowing as it should or normally would, and all it is, its environment. So, okay. Again, I think something is, I think we're right on the edge of this actually happening. So buckle up, folks. Domestically in the United States, just keep your head on a swivel. We don't know that, and I haven't seen any, reports from FBI, Homeland Security or anybody like that as of recent, talking about, imminent threats. But believe me, if we go to war with Iran, their proxies are all around the world. They are absolutely inside the United States. Could we see something? Yeah, no doubt about it. I think the first things we will see will probably be cyber and maybe economic. And then you may get some folks that decide they want to, do something inside the U.S. So, all right. We'll talk to you soon, folks. Keep that.
Okay, that's Monkey Works. We haven't done him in a long time. But yeah, we'll go to 3:30. I'm going to get to a 6-part clip. Nick Shirley, I believe that's his mom. I never seen them did a video together before, so yep, Paul. But we're gonna play this 1 minute video. Only a minute.
News, 30 more people have been arrested in the church incident in Minnesota.
Wow.
So a total of 39 of those thugs have been arrested.
30.
By the way, so they're having a press conference right now, the Democrats are, over the Clinton testimony. And if you turn it on, the only thing they're talking about is they want to see Trump questioned again. So this is what the press conference is about the Clintons that just testified. It's all going back to, we need to question Trump again. I mean, these people are just never going to stop, are they? Guys, did you hear? Bill Clinton said that he had never heard or seen anything to think that Trump was involved. And now the Democrats, after that, are going crazy, wanting Trump to be questioned. What a jacked up world they live in. Well, guys, some breaking news.
Okay, I hope we'll get some more her later on tonight.
And that is your property, period. No extensions, there's no collections of what he calls his other personal belongings. Because of one person mostly, he not only just accumulated more and more and more.
Yeah, I think that's
See over
his
here,
mom
this area,
there.
that whole central area, from that pole right there, that central area, all the way up to that street, and all that stuff
About
on the
3 or 4
sidewalk
minutes
and that
per
up there on
clip,
the
I
island
think.
is all his collecting.
So, do you have to pay anything to live here? And this is what the government did. They had a plan to come, not the government.
Volunteer group.
A volunteer group made this, so not even the government.
Government did nothing for us there as far as building.
Does the government ever come to see how you guys are doing?
Well, we had fire inspectors and things like that. We have an inspection team come over to see that everything was up to code. This is fire retardant material that is built out of. Many of them burnt down.
Where do you go to the bathroom and shower?
Kind of personal, but I use a bucket and throw away plastic bags.
Right here in California, where the richest of the rich live. Gavin Newsom, your governor here, he just recently bought a home that I think was around $9 million in the San Francisco area. $9 million. And here you are, a veteran, and this is shantytown. I remember many years ago seeing something like this in India, and I just couldn't even fathom it with my brain that this could actually exist anywhere. And here we are in Oakland, California, just miles away from Nancy Pelosi's street up there on the hill. In 2022, she was reportedly worth $125 million. Why couldn't she give some of that millions? Just is so frustrating and so awful to see people living like this. And I'm bet you feel just blessed to have shelter over your head at night.
I am. I try to take care of it, but it's very difficult with people coming and going. They're using me as a throughway to get down to there.
So people walk through your house to go down here.
Yeah. That's all that area that was open. That was all public land right there for us.
Of knocking on your door first.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, certainly, yeah.
And I got to say, as a United States veteran, it's absolutely horrible to see how our government is taking care of our veterans. You served our country honorably, and here you are living in third world conditions.
We're helping out the third world countries. We can't help the veterans.
And how do you feel knowing migrants who just walk across our border are offered
I'm infuriated.
I'm
infuriated.
I got to tell you, these
I
guys
served
walk
my
across
country
our
to
border.
take care of our country's people.
These
And
guys
to
walk
secure
across our
border.
border. They get immediately handed a 4-star luxury hotel, a $10,000 gift card. And it's really sad to see that illegal immigrants are taken better care of by the government than our United States veteran. This is heartbreaking. What was your name?
Administration is selling out our country. My name is Mr. Smith.
And I want to ask you, though, before we say goodbye to you, where did you serve for our military?
Well, when I joined, because the draft was abolished at that time when I turned 18, a couple of years later, I just went ahead and joined, and they were already coming home from Vietnam. So I joined as a clerk typist. That was my contract I signed. They noticed I did a class in cooking, and I did very well, so they asked me to be a cook. That's what I did.
So you were a cook for our
Stateside
military.
Cook for a couple of years, that's all.
And what did you do for a living before you ended up here?
Home improvement.
I'm glad you have a roof over your head, but I'm sad that it's this type of circumstances. But you seem like you're put together and you're making the best of your life.
A lot of things that we can do to keep ourselves in health, good health.
Were you happy that Kamala Harris didn't win to be president?
Terribly yet. Happy. Oh, yes. I can't believe she even made it that far. It's just insane. It's insane how our country would even vote so close of a vote. I don't understand that. How many dumb people do we have in this country? Our rules were you.
Okay, that's one.
Or go to like how they have the care campus over there. That'd be great.
If someone were to offer you a job, let's say at Burger King down the street, would you take it?
Not necessarily, because I have medical issues right now. I have a hernia. I have cellulitis on my legs.
Cellulitis is one of the most painful diseases.
Yeah, it's very painful. I've already had it 2 times on both of my legs, and it was terrible. But lucky that I had some friends where I could go change my bandages.
Hey, well, wish you the best of luck and stay safe.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate the time.
But when government officials like somebody like Gavin Newsom given $20 billion or so to fix homelessness, and they don't have to show to anybody where that money goes. I mean, we don't ever have to figure out. We pay thousands of dollars in taxes, but we never know where our money goes. But I think we should know a little bit more about what happens with our money. How you doing, ma'am?
This is Raven.
Raven. How you doing, Raven? What are you up to today?
A whole lot of stuff, a bunch of nothing. A whole lot of stuff. I ain't gonna lie, I got a lot to do.
Yeah, what do you got to do today?
I need to go get me some prenatal vitamins. I'm wondering why I haven't been feeling too good and stuff lately. I've been having the runs and stuff, but I found that I was pregnant. I went to jail for 3 days about a week ago, and I found that I was pregnant. So I'm going through all kind of changes, man.
Oh, you're pregnant right now.
Yeah.
Are you excited about being a mom?
Of course, but I just the timing. But you don't decide that. I guess God decides that.
Yeah. And how long you been living out here for?
I've been out here in the streets for over 10 years plus, back and forth,
Yeah. Are you doing anything? Are you planning on doing anything now that you're pregnant in these next 9 months to try to get you out?
I was already doing it, yes. But this just lighting the fire, of course I am.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah.
But last time I was pregnant with my last baby, I didn't get any help.
Yeah. So how many babies do you have?
This will be my third.
This will be your third baby. Wow. Where are your kids living at right now?
My dad has custody. Well, he don't have custody, but he's been with my dad. My son's with my dad, and my daughter I don't have custody of. Unfortunately, CPS took her when she was born, and she's with the family member that I chose, and she's been with her ever since she came home from the hospital.
Yeah.
But this one, I'm not going out like that. I'm gonna do everything I need to do and make the effort so I can keep my baby this time.
Mm-hmm.
Because last time it was a lot going on. We were rioting from George Floyd and stuff. So, and it was almost impossible to get into a methadone clinic. So I couldn't at the time. And when I had my baby, unfortunately, she became a positive for drugs. And it was oh no, you can't. You got to find somewhere for her to go, or we gonna put her in a foster home.
Are you on drugs right now?
Yes, I am using.
What are you currently taking?
Fentanyl.
How far along are you?
I'm only 13 weeks.
13 weeks. And since you know that you're pregnant, do you have doctor's appointments, or do you have a care person that comes and checks on you?
When I was in jail, I was getting care, so I'm gonna make an appointment Monday. But I just set up everything.
Did you just get out of jail?
Yeah, about a week ago.
A week ago, and then how long have you lived here? You lived
I
right
don't
here.
live
in
right
this
here.
house?
No, I don't live right. That's not my house.
Wow. Well, ma'am, now that you're pregnant, I think now more than ever.
I am homeless. I have a lot of resources already. Like I just was in the hospital like a day or two ago, and I talked to a social worker when I was there, and she put in out like a bunch of stuff for me and everything like that. But my plan was to go to an inpatient program out in San Francisco. But then I was informed that, well, according to wherever your Medi-Cal is, you have to stay within that county. But of course, I have a plan and I have it figured out.
As a pregnant woman on the street, what's it like surviving out here in Kamalaville, knowing it's already survival of the fittest on its own?
It's very.
Are you given any courtesy as a woman?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Like every day, I'm like depressed, stressed out.
Hey, well, ma'am, we wish you the best of luck, and we hope you can get off fentanyl, especially as you are pregnant right now. That'd be the best thing for your child.
Instead of
Okay, I got two more.
Are literally like dug into the ground that are part of the floor here now. We got old car parts, a ton of equipment. We got a saw right there. Somebody lives right here because there's actually a very nice bike right here. So somebody is living here. Let's get out of here. It stinks. Got some weird smells coming through here. Look at all the mattress. Look at all the buildup right here. If you're missing a luggage from the airport, there's a big one right there. Literally just the pile up of stuff. You got bikes here. These are nice bike, a cardboard home set up here. And I mean, all this is just garbage. I mean, it doesn't really have any utility, any of this stuff. I mean, look at this tire. They have a tire. They couldn't get the wheel for it. Oh my gosh, there's 2 dead rats. Oh, that scared the crap out of me. How you doing?
Or we'll interview you at home, huh?
Well, I was here, one of the longest guys that's been here. The OG, they call me.
You're the OG. What do you even call this place?
This is behind the Burger King, Shanty Town.
And how long have you been out here for?
It'll be 6 years, January 15th.
Wow, you've been living out here for 6 years. We're seeing these little sheds. Were these sheds created for people to come live in?
For us original dwellers that have been here.
Okay, so 6 years ago,
there was a dozen of them built.
Okay.
And we were going to be the ground floor, and they were going to continue right up here and just keep on going. But unfortunately, we have certain residents, and I don't want to point any fingers, but they like to collect stuff. And this is their product right here. This is what they got. And because of that, they discontinued our project up here.
And so you live inside that house?
I live in one center of me.
Can you show us what it looks like inside? All right, we're going in. Let me grab a flashlight.
I never finished it up on the inside. Want to take a look?
Yeah, so
Take a quick short one, okay?
wow, so this is where you're sleeping.
Yes.
Wow, sure.
Back when they built the shanties, I was in a walker for a couple of years when I first got here.
Really?
But they were going to use the lumber package. We were all given a certain amount of lumber with a value of about $2,000. And these were the ground floor was 8 by 12. And that's a standard shack.
So 4 years ago, these were built, and these were built for people that lived here in Oakland that were homeless to live in.
All of us that were here for the longest time.
For the longest time. And how many were built?
12.
And then why did they stop building?
Because a couple of our residents wouldn't adhere to what the group wants. Our rules were you have an 8 foot around your base property right here, and that is your property, period. No extensions, there's no collections of what he calls his other personal belongings. Because of one person mostly, he not only just accumulated more and more and more. See over here, this area, that whole central area, from that pole right there, that central area, all the way up to that street, and all that stuff on the sidewalk, and that up there on the island is all his collecting.
We got abandoned, like obviously not abandoned shoes, but shoes that are literally like dug into the ground that are part of the floor here now. We got old car parts, a ton of equipment. We got a saw right there. Somebody lives right here because there's a.
Okay, I got one more, you guys. We're going to finish off with 2 Doug videos. I got 2 short Doug videos.
And if we are a first world country, why do you think they're even allowing this to happen here on the side of the highway here in Oakland? Somos un primer mundo, ¿cierto? ¿Por qué piensa que aquí están aprobando o están dejando gente para hacer eso afuera de la carretera?
Sí, yo pienso que los dejan hacer todo eso, sí. No.
She says she thinks she just lets them do it, which is interesting. All right. Muchas gracias por su tiempo, señora. Que vaya muy bien. Que tenga buen día. How you doing? Good. What do you think about what's going on here in Oakland right here?
Sad.
Sad. It is
Yeah.
sad.
Depressing.
Why do you think it's allowed to happen here?
The city, they have other plans. They don't have plans to restore the city. You know, I have a buddy that knows the mayor, and I overheard a conversation with him and her once. Pretty much just doesn't really care.
And how much does it cost to live around here?
It's close to $2,000.
Just for rent here?
Oh, a 1-bedroom apartment. Yep.
$2,000. Wow.
Close to $2,000.
Like major sport teams like the A's left here. Even the Golden State Warriors, their stadium was here, or their arena was here in Oakland. They left. San Francisco 49ers, they were in San Francisco. They even left that area of the Bay to move to like Santa Clarita or something like that. So 3 major sport teams have left these areas here.
And it's all because the city has different plans.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, sir. Have a great rest of your day. Look, these RVs, that's a nice trailer. That one right there, that's a huge camping trailer. Here we go. What's up? We're here with the guy, Darren. We met Darren yesterday in the Tenderloin. He said, you got to come down here, see what's going on with Oakland. Where are we going right now, Darren?
We are entering what has become known as Kamalaville.
We're in the Burger King parking lot. So this is the front door here to get inside the Burger King. Darren is saying that somebody drove a car right through here to come in and try to rob their register. So you can't even come into the Burger King from this entry point right here.
First ever In-N-Out in the entire country to ever close down in the history of In-N-Outs was Oakland, California. As everyone and their moms know, Keith Lee, the acclaimed TikTok food critic, came to the Bay Area and unfortunately advised everyone to dine elsewhere. Although our cuisine is to die for, it's worldly. It's just, unfortunately, you might die trying to eat here. And it's really sad. It's not safe for women and children. We are entering Kamalaville, and honestly, we're just going to walk on through here and check things out. But the last time I was at this specific RV, somebody pulled out a pistol on me.
There's already drug paraphernalia. How do you say that word, paraphernalia?
Paraphernalia
out here.
So the city provides, by the way, breathe through your nose. Don't be breathing into your mouth out here. We probably should have brought goggles. There's a lot of pestilence out here.
Wow, look at this. This is worse than something I've never seen before.
I've been to Brazil. And I would say this is far worse than anything in a third world country. Brazil is much cleaner than this.
Yeah, I said earlier on the stream that this is like a favela. Worse, probably, right?
Yeah.
Estoy traduciendo lo que.
Okay, well, Nick Shirley found some more bad stuff. And his mom. The last 2 will be Doug. Six minutes.
Merrick Garland served Joe Biden. Biden wasn't even conscious. So whoever it was running the Democrat Party, probably Barack Obama's handlers, spied on Kash Patel and Susie Wiles. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the Happy Patriots are. As I give you guys just the news you need to know, thank you for subscribing and leaving a comment. Here's the scoop on Jack Smith's spy ring.
And with regard to the Wiles phone call, I was floored by this account. If it is true, it does raise very serious ethical questions for that counsel. I've been an attorney for over 30 years. I can't imagine having the FBI listen in on a true attorney-client communication, but to do so without informing my client, there's no circumstance I could imagine where that would be justified.
I can think of a circumstance when it would be justified. If a Democrat thinks they can get power, if they think they can get power, there's no such thing as attorney-client privilege. If a Democrat thinks they can get power, there's no such thing as family sovereignty. There's no such thing as the Constitution. There's no such thing as the 10 Commandments. That is the circumstance that a Democrat believes you can spy and listen in on a Susie Wiles conversation, is if they can keep and manipulate power.
Or considered ethical. We'll have to learn more details from this, but it raises very serious ethical questions. But it also, again, raises questions about the tactics of Jack Smith. and why we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to learn from this. I mean, it's not just that these two cases collapsed, but there's a lot of damage here, and it's some chilling moves by Jack Smith. We need to understand the full extent of that so we never repeat this again.
It's going to get repeated, and worse is being done by the Democrats right now if they can spy on people. I think we Republicans, and I'm one of them too, it's later in the game than you think. The Democrats are more evil than you think. And people are going like, oh, we have to really expose this to keep it from happening again. If Democrats win in 2026, it will get worse. If they win in 2028, it will get worse. Your borders will be open. Your vote will be canceled. You will lose free speech. The state will take your children and trans them. Period. Here's more. Here's Harris Faulkner.
So you were on that initial list, and I know you have some thoughts about that legally as well. But now there's this new one. What do you make of it?
Again, this just is further confirmation of the wide dragnet that Jack Smith and the Biden Justice Department were casting, trying to really make a crime out of what was not a crime. And as troubling as the separation of power issue in terms of getting phone records from members of Congress, and then some of these other big names like Kash Patel and Susie Wiles, as outrageous, maybe not more outrageous, are the phone records and the dragnet against just ordinary American citizens. We had more than 30 Wisconsinites. And these people who've been county chairs for decades, for years.
You'll notice the ballots in the lower left-hand corner, what he's going to bring up here. I want you to pay attention to this. 30 average Wisconsinites that were going to be the alternate electors. That is, if they found out that it was constitutional for Trump to use an alternate form of electors, which I'm saying I'm open to. I'm not saying it absolutely has to be that way. It was a long shot of a theory, but you ought to be able to come up with a theory without going to jail and prison. You ought to have free speech to say, I think the Constitution says this and it should be argued. Not, I think the Constitution says this and now I'm going to jail.
They just happen to be the alternate slate of electors. The lawfare that's being conducted against Judge Troupas, who is President Trump's lawyer, who did what, quite honestly, the attorneys for Al Gore should have done, so he would have had a case for the Supreme Court. Develop a alternate slate of electors in case he won his court case, looking at all the irregularities in the Wisconsin election. Again, the problem we have with the election fraud is it's never thoroughly investigated. There's always a rush to certify the elections, and once certified, well, nobody wants to take a look and go, oh, maybe we that election.
I'll let my chat answer that question too. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they just want to rush to certify an election and then never look at the ballots again?
Why do you think that is?
Again, there's always a time crunch. You hold the elections. Nobody wants to admit, it seems like, that there might be fraud in the elections, that there might be problems, that there might be partisanship occurring in certain precincts or certain counties. So people still want to admit it. And of course, the people who are cheating, they're going to cover it up. It's very difficult to investigate it. The losing candidate doesn't have the funds to do it. Law enforcement really is not interested. Courts aren't interested in. I mean, you had all these instances where 80 courts looked at irregularities in 2020 and they dismissed all the cases. They dismissed the cases largely without looking at any of the evidence, and that's part of our problem here.
Well,
okay. Anyone who isn't willing to look at evidence, I want to look at evidence. I don't need as big of an audit as we did in Arizona. You don't have to convert a whole gym and count the ballots and everything. But I mean, simple jurisprudence, let's take a look. I think Americans are owed that. And I think the reason why we don't trust our institutions is because people are too quick to just go, the debate's over and you're crazy if you oppose it and you go to prison now if you speak against it, or you lose your YouTube channel. So that I'm always
Okay, last one. We got the lady came out with a 2-minute one, so we're going to finish off with that one. She just came out with a new one. Lucy?
We are probably fixing to strike Iran, is the way it's looking. J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, the talks just failed again with Iran. It's looking like possibly something happening this weekend. So wanted to say something again real quick about these Epstein fucking files that I'm so sick of. So the fact that Bill Clinton came out, which, to be honest, we can't really believe Bill Clinton because remember what he said about Monica Lewinsky. But Bill Clinton steadily saying he never saw Trump do anything that he would think, led him to believe that anything was going on. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of think that Bill Clinton didn't do anything wrong either. And now I know what y'all thinking, but you can hang out with somebody who does shitty things, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing shitty things. Although my granddaddy said birds of a feather flock together, I have hung around with somebody in the past that I had no idea was a fucking sociopath until I did find that out, and I immediately broke the relationship off. They were doing horrific things. But anyway, here's the deal. All they focus on is Trump. That's all they give a shit about. I am sick and tired of this shit. It needs to be over. It needs to end. Epstein victims, you need to quit hobnobbing with the fucking Democrats. The party that took the money from Epstein, that took the donations from Epstein, that Epstein was texting during hearings. The party that protects criminals, the party that has the most people involved in the Epstein files, and yet you guys are constantly their guest. Now, if you're real concerned about getting this shit out in the open, Elon Musk has already said he's going to pay your legal fees if need be. You guys have already got a settlement. Some of y'all are my age and said that you guys were victims when this happened. Come out and name the names and let's stop this shit. Enough is enough. It is time to do it. And by God, if you say that our president had anything to do with this shit, you better have the fucking date, time, the color of the carpet, and everything else. Because I'm going to tell you something. Any woman that's ever been SA'd, she don't forget the if, who, when, where, or what. Okay? It is time to put this shit to rest and shut the fucking Democrats up.
Amen.
Yes,
Amen
it's
to
me
that.
again. So apparently, we are probably.
Amen. Another great video from her. Well said. And that's going to wrap it up for the first show, you guys. And see you back at 6. Have a good dinner and come back. Bring dessert. Bring some dessert for tonight. So, thanks, the mods. Kay, Carol, there you go, Tim, Lucy. And whoever that was in the chat earlier never responded after I said something. So, I don't know. So, God bless everyone of all. Remember, please hit like and sub to the backup channel, please. And stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith. And there we go up. Signing off. Chico and Dude for show number 1. And see you in a few hours.